Welcome to the Explainer. So, Tesla just dropped its roadmap for the next decade. And let me tell you, it is about so much more than just cars. We're going to break down the 5 biggest takeaways that really show how they're planning to become, well, an AI and robotics company first and a car company second.
Okay, first up, let's talk about a number that grabbed all the headlines, $1 trillion. But, and this is a big but, it's probably not what you're thinking.
See that $1 trillion figure? It's not about what Tesla is worth today. Nope. It's actually part of this huge, and I mean huge, compensation plan for its leadership that the shareholders just gave the green light to. It's all tied to a future valuation of, get this, $8.5 trillion. So what this really does is lock in the leadership and the vision for the next decade. It's a massive bet on some seriously ambitious goals. So what does that future actually look like?
Right, so with that huge leadership decision basically locked in, let's dive into the first big piece of this multi-trillion-dollar puzzle.
And here it is, the robot revolution. Tesla is basically betting the farm on what it thinks will be its biggest product ever, a humanoid robot called Optimus. The idea here is, well, it's as simple as it is mind-blowing. A robot that can do pretty much any physical task a person can. But here's the real kicker. They're aiming to sell it for around $20,000. That's less than the average new car today.
Okay, so the big question is, where are we actually going to see these things first? The answer is really telling about their whole strategy. And spoiler alert, it's probably not in your house.
And what's really interesting here is that Tesla's own projections show they're not aiming for your living room, at least not at first. For every one robot that makes it into a home, they're expecting to put like 3 to 5 of them into industrial settings. And the reason why is actually pretty simple. It all comes down to one thing: predictability. A factory floor is a structured, super controlled environment. The tasks are repeatable. It's the perfect training ground, right? It's way safer and way simpler for an AI to learn in than, say, a chaotic house with kids, pets, and furniture that moves around. And the scale they're talking about here is just staggering. I mean, look at this plan. They're talking about going from 1 million units a year at Fremont to 10 million in Austin, and then this next-gen phase that's targeting over 100 million units a year. We've never seen a manufacturing ramp-up like that, ever. Okay, the second huge theme is self-driving. This takes us from the factory floor and puts us out on the road. And this is where all that cool, cutting-edge tech slams right into the brick wall of the law. So Tesla is basically signaling that they are extremely confident in their new full self-driving software. The goal they're talking about is a car so good you could theoretically punch in a destination, then pick up your phone and just hang out for the whole trip. Which, of course, brings us to the elephant in the room. The tech might be getting there, but the laws just aren't. Right now, what they're describing is, legally just called distracted driving. And during the meeting, Musk basically put the ball right in the regulator's court. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, the speed at which we build our robotaxi, the cybercab, will completely depend on how fast the government approves it. It's basically like saying, hey, we'll build them as fast as you'll let us. Which leads us perfectly into their production playbook. Because how do you plan for this massive growth when your main future product is kind of stuck in regulatory limbo? Well, it turns out they have a pretty clever backup plan. First, just look at these goals. They're aiming to more than double their annual production rate in just the next 4 years. So going from about 2 million cars today to 5 million by the end of 2028. And a huge piece of that growth is tied up in their next-gen vehicle platform. So this is the key question, right? If regulators in the big markets, the US, Europe, China, if they drag their feet on approving a car with no steering wheel, do those billion-dollar production lines just sit there gathering dust? And this is their genius backup plan. The very same production line that's built for the futuristic, driverless cybercab, it can also turn out a more, normal mass-market car that has a steering wheel and pedals. It's this super flexible strategy that means they can keep the factories humming and sell cars literally anywhere, regardless of what the local laws say about robotaxis. Okay, finally, let's talk about the foundation for all of this, because if you're going to build millions of autonomous cars and robots, you need an absolutely massive supply of the most critical part, the brains of the operation. To really get what they're doing here, you gotta look back. A decade ago, the biggest thing holding back a massive EV rollout was the battery supply. So what did Tesla do? They built their own giant battery factories. gigafactories, to solve the problem themselves.
Well, they see that exact same problem happening all over again, but this time it's with AI computer chips. Think about it. If you want to build tens or hundreds of millions of smart robots in cars, you're going to need a truly mind-boggling number of advanced chips, way more than the world makes right now.
So their solution, you guessed it, they want to run the Gigafactory playbook all over again, but this time for computer chips. The idea of a terafactory to make their own chips, that's a whole new level of controlling your own destiny. It's moving from just making the product to making the core tech that powers the product.
And that really leaves us with this one big thought. When you step back and look at all these pieces together, it points to a really fundamental shift. The plan isn't just to sell you a car or a robot anymore. It looks like the plan is to build the entire industrial supply chain, from the chips to the factories to the final products, for a totally autonomous robotic future.